What's going on, my good people? Mike Hidalgo here. Thank you for joining me on another FCP Euro DIY. Today we are working on a 2018 Volvo XC90. Today on the XC90, we are going to be covering how to service your rear brakes. These are a pain point on the XC90 chassis. This car is equipped with the 17-inch brake package, meaning that these cars could come with different size rotors. If you're not sure of what size your Volvo has, be sure to reach out to our service team at fcpo.com with your full VIN, and we can help you out figuring out in which kit you need to buy. This kit includes everything that you need. We have a Bosch brake pad kit, we have hardware, we have Zimmermann rotors. It's going to be good. One thing to note that is included in these kits, and it is something that you can buy separately from us exclusively, is going to be these little clips in front of the pads. Genuine pads have gone through 3 or 4 revisions from Volvo, as they tend to stick, and they have been a big pain point on XC90s as they tend to wear really quickly. No matter how little or how much you drive, they're dragging on the surface of the brake disc, causing the pads to prematurely wear out. These clips here kind of help push the pads apart, so that really when the piston's doing the compressing is the only time they should be touching the brake disc. Otherwise, the clips are going to help keep them separate and keep them from riding on the brake rotor. So again, a lot of the revisions have been made to the genuine pads, which led to these clips. However, for the longest time, these clips are only available with genuine pads. So for those of you looking for a better price point pad or an OE pad, now you can buy the clips separately from us here at FCPO. Again, we have new one-time use hardware. Bosch also includes some new anti-rattle clips with their Bosch pads, which is going to be a really nice touch and a nice look on the rear of our XC90. But before we get into it, let's take a look at some of the tools you're going to need. For this DIY, we have a 1/2-inch torque wrench, a 3/8 stripes torque wrench. This one has a flex head 3/8 drive ratchet, a 1/4-inch ratchet, flathead screwdriver, a single piston caliper compressing tool. This is CTA 1465. We have a hammer in case our brake disc is stuck onto our hub. We have our wire brush. This is out of our Febby kit, as a caliper hanger kit that comes with a couple different brushes as well. We have our 19mm socket, our 7mm hex, 15mm socket, and our T30. We have some of this magic blue sauce here. This is a Liqui-Moly brake paste that we're going to be using. We have some brake cleaner, 1/2-inch impact, 3/8 drive electric ratchet, and we have our Autel. That's what we're going to use to retract the electronic parking brake today and put the car in service mode. Now with that, let's go ahead and get started on this DIY. Now that we're in the car, we're going to set our vehicle into service mode for the electronic parking brake so that we can service the vehicle, put the pistons back into their service position, all that good stuff. I'm going to use the service function on our Autel, and we're going to go to EPB, electronic parking brake. We're going to click on that. Then we're going to find Volvo, and the goal here is to hear those electronic parking brake motors retracting. We're going to let the car read the VIN. It'll do all the hard work for us. We'll hit OK. This is an all-wheel drive model, so we'll select all-wheel drive. We'll hit yes. And we're going to do hot functions. We're going to hit OK. Parking brake service position. Pretty straightforward. It's the only option on there. The car's waking up. It says the vehicle must be stationary. The vehicle must be in usage mode active, which means we turn the ignition switch on without starting the car. We're going to hit OK. Then we're going to do park brake activation, activate service mode, checking parking brake. Those are our options. We're going to do activate service mode. Nice whine from the electronic parking brake motors. And the dash will also say parking brake service required or parking brake unavailable. At this point, it'll show that our parking brake is inactive, or it's in maintenance mode. They're going to be released, and we are just going to leave it like that. We can kill the car if we'd like, so you don't drain your battery. We're going to perform our service, and then we will hop back into exit service mode and put the parking brake or electronic parking brake motors back in their normal operating position. So let's head over to the back and get started on some brake pads and brake discs. All right, we are going to be working on the passenger side of the XC90. However, the steps are going to be identical for both sides. We have 5 19mm lug bolts to remove first. Brace the wheel on the last one, as these are bolts. There's no studs, and the wheel's going to want to fall. All right, Now we have the wheel off. The first thing we want to make sure is that we can separate the rotor set screw from our whole assembly here. If that can't come off, then we can't replace the disc. There's really no point in just slapping new pads on an old worn disc. This one has a little bit of a lip on the outside and the inside. It's not horrible, but it's definitely not great. So it's getting due for a replacement, which is what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna take my T30 and a flathead screwdriver. I'm just gonna jam the flathead through the caliper, or the opening between the caliper bracket and the caliper itself, in between the vanes of the disc, just to keep it from spinning. And I'm gonna make sure I can get this baby freed up. Penetrating fluid is gonna help. If yours are looking crusty, this one's nice and free. So we're gonna be good to go. I'm gonna leave that on there for now, just to keep the disc in place. Next, we're gonna remove our spring clip up top. So I'm gonna use a little flathead screwdriver to pry it out of the face of the caliper. Our Bosch pads include a new clip. We have 2 dust caps on the back to remove, and we can work out the caliper guide pins so that we can swing this baby out of the way. And take off these 2 dust caps on the back. Just using a little flathead to get them going. I'm gonna pop up our wheel speed sensor wire out of the bracket to give us a little bit of room. And to give us a little bit more swinging action for the caliper, we're gonna pop the electrical connector for the electronic parking brake up out of our way. Just using a little flathead screwdriver. This is a cammed plug, so as we lift this up, it's gonna wanna unplug itself at the same time. You can see it starting to back up. And then we can just work it off the rest of the way. Once we flip the caliper around, there's a little plastic rivet that holds the harness to the back of the motor. We can free that up just to give us a little bit more spinning room. Let's see, we'll show you that in a moment. All right, let's get these 2 guide pins out next. And for that, we're gonna use our 7mm hex. 7mm hex, make sure it's seated all the way in before you try to remove it. You don't wanna strip it. Okay. Just get that started. Let's get the top one started. All right, now I'm just gonna zap them out with the electric ratchet. If they're a little gummy, we'll clean them up with the wire wheel, and then we'll go from there. As you pull up the caliper, pay attention to the pads. There's 2 kind of differences to them. One has a fully flat back, no hump, as if there was a brake pad wear sensor, which these cars don't use. The other one does have a little spring clip on it, which is going to be the interior pad. So as we lift up the caliper, hopefully these stay behind on the caliper carrier. If not, no problem, but we'll show you how those look as we pull this up. We're going to swing that baby back. Looks like we don't really have to free up that harness, but if you wanted to, it's just a little expanding rivet right here. All right, let's take a look at these pads. So looking at the brake pads, you'll notice the outer one is fully flat all the way across. There is no notch or opening on it. The interior pad has a spring clip on it, and it does have a cutout, again, pretending like it had a brake pad wear sensor or a spot for one. This car doesn't run them, so we're not going to install any, but you want to make sure that your new pads go in the same way. We're going to get rid of these 2. And now we're going to move on to the caliper carrier. We have 2 hex bolts on the back. Those are, again, one-time use as well. So as long as we have enough room and our caliper is not hanging us up or in our way, we can move on to those next. We have 2 15mm bolts holding on our caliper carrier. We're going to break them free and then see if we can squeeze the electric ratchet in here to zap them out. While we pull off this bracket, let's go ahead and clean it up now. I'm going to hit it with some brake cleaner to get the rest of the loose dust off. These channels are what really matter, where the pads are going to be riding, but there's no crime in giving all of it a little bit of love. We'll set that to the side, let all that good stuff evaporate off. Now let's get this T30 off the rest of the way so we can get this brake disc off. And this one's already loose, so I don't really have to worry about bonking it with our hammer, even though we were prepared. So let's get this baby out. This This is going to go in our recycling bin. We're going to clean up our hub and prep it for our new disc. But before we do that, we're going to clean up the caliper too while we have no disc in the way so we don't contaminate our new one right away. All right, we're going to compress our piston in now. Again, a regular spring compressor, even though this has notches, these do not need to be twisted in. So a little standard caliper piston compressor tool like the CTA that we have today is going to do the trick. Should go in nice and easy. Again, you can't do this without putting the car in service position for the electronic parking brake. And if it's fighting you, then there's probably a problem with your piston and or your soft lines or something else down the line. But this piston should go in nice and easy. Beautiful. Once the tool stops and the piston looks nice and flush, it's all the way at the bottom of the housing, you're good to go. All right, I'm going to tuck this piston back out of our way. Let's get our new disc on. We'll get the bracket on. We'll talk about the pads, and then we'll go from there. Liquid moly paste, that's going to keep our disc from seizing to our hub in the future. I'm going to go a little bit extra where the set screw goes. The last thing you want to do ever is drill out a set screw. It's the worst. Putting some of this on there is going to make it easier for the next person. All right, brake disc is going on. Try not to get your fingerprints all over it because you don't want to really mess with the coating, at least not on these areas. Where the pads are going to go, no problem. The second you bed in the pads, this is designed to just come off with use, but you want to protect the rest of it so that your disc doesn't corrode right away. We're just going to gently snug up this T30. Once you snug it up, maybe less than 1/8 of a turn and you're good to go. All right, now let's swing our caliper bracket back in place. We'll get our 2 new 15mm bolts started. Again, they're torque to yield, so don't reuse them. All right, now we're gonna just start snugging those up with the electric ratchet, 15mm bolts, and then we'll torque them up properly. Torque spec for these 15s is going to be 90 Newton meters plus 45 degrees. There's one, there's 2, and then the 45 degrees is just going to be 1/8 of a turn, so not a whole lot. So we're just going to go back in, do that, and then we'll be set. There's one. There's 2. Okay. Now with that, we're ready to sling some pads on, so let's do that next. All right, we'll start with the interior pad first. We're gonna get its spring clip situated to the backside. You'll note that there is a little cutout for the spring clip, and there's 2 little thin flat spots up top. That's gonna allow the little curls on the clip to bite onto that pad. That's gonna help with vibration and rattling. So for that, we're just gonna literally slide these on. These are a little bit tedious. Once you get it started though, it'll kind of stay in place. So that should look something like that from the back. All right, we're gonna put a little bit of paste on the ears. All right, now we're gonna take our interior pad. We're gonna mount our brake pad clip to the inside bottom portion of the tabs. You can see how they sit just inside the ears. Don't forget to put a little bit of paste on the ears before you sit them in the caliper carrier. Once that interior pad is in, then we're going to take our exterior pad and same thing again, we're going to clip those clips to the underside of the inside of the ears of the pads. We'll put a little bit of paste, sit those into the caliper carrier, and you can see how that clip is pushing the pads away from each other. That's what's going to keep them from prematurely wearing by dragging on the brake disc. With that, let's swing the caliper over and be mindful that we may need to mess around with the pads a little bit to get the caliper to seat on properly. At this point, let's get our guide pins and get those ready to rock and roll. Coming in with the guide pins, I like to put a little bit of paste on them. I've been doing them the same way for the last 15, 16 years of my life. It's a big argument online. Is it big? I don't know. Do as you wish. They came out dry. If you want to put them back in dry, you can, but I always like using a little bit of paste on them. Something that's not going to degrade the rubber is crucial, just like this liquid moly ceramic paste. Let's get those two 7mm hex started first by hand, and then we can snug them up. Torque spec for the 7mm hex guide pins is going to be 28 Newton meters, not a whole lot. Honestly, the electric ratchet will probably take care of it on its own if you're using a similar one at home, but we have the torque wrench out. Let's not be lazy, and let's double check what we got here. There we go. Let's put our dust caps back on, and then from there we can secure our electronic parking brake and wire, and then the clip up front. I'm gonna plug this baby back in. Push the cam in as she comes down, then that'll lock it in. Get this wire tucked back in its home. And now we can do the anti-rattle clip up front. These can always be a little bit tedious, but I like to get one side started, get it seated into the caliper, hook the other end in. I have a flathead screwdriver, so I'll let that do all the work for me. Just get underneath the bracket. There we go. Make sure that seats in all the way nice. And now we're looking good. All right, from here, let's get the wheel back on. We're gonna snug it up in a crisscross pattern. Then we'll drop the car on the ground, torque it in the same crisscross pattern to 140 Newton meters, and then we'll hop back inside to get the car to service mode and wrap up this DIY. All right, now we're done. We're back in the car. We're gonna exit service position. So we wanna hear those motors again, going back into their normal service mode. So we're gonna hit exit service mode on our Autel. And we're back in business, baby. At this point, it's just a matter of taking your car out for a drive, bedding in the brakes. My usual go-to, unless the manufacturer requires something specific, is 10 to 55 miles an hour. You know, get to 50, 55, hard stop, but don't come to a full stop. And do that about 3 or 4 times. And then coast around a little bit without, again, coming to a full stop, so you don't bake the pads to the surface of the disc. And then do a couple cool down laps, some light braking, and then continue with the cool down until the pads are at an okay temperature. I'm not telling you to go out there and touch them, but just use your common sense. If you just stomp on the pedal a bunch of times, they're gonna be hot. Do a little bit of driving until they cool down as if you were doing normal street driving, and then that is gonna be good. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments on what we did today, leave those in the comment section below. And if you like this DIY and you'd like to see more like them, please consider subscribing. We make new ones all the time. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.